A long time ago, between 1972, or correction, 1962 and 1971, a group of 102 USAF pilots volunteered to defend their country, answered the country's call to fly in a faraway country of Vietnam, the Air Force Skyraiders. A lot like many of us in this room do. These pilots came from all over the country, largest cities, Los Angeles, New York, Miami, and the smallest towns that are hard enough to pronounce or find even if you're there. El Paso, Minnesota, Deerfield, Wisconsin, Fessenden, North Dakota. A lot like us. We're a diverse group, came from all over the country. They ranged in rank from colonel to first lieutenant, with all ranks in between accounted for. And correspondingly, they had a mixed amount of experience. In fact, one flew combat not only in Korean War, but in World War II. And I'm sure there were others based in Korean War. But they were not necessarily experienced in the A-1 Skyraider. An airplane that we all found out very quickly demands 100% of your attention, 100% of your time, on the ground and in flight. So we all did that, and some of us are here to talk about it. What sets these men apart is that their names are etched on the black granite of the Vietnam Memorial, along with 58,170 others, casualties of the war. The names are also etched on a plaque from the A-1 Skyraider Association in Robert Field, about 7 miles west of here, next to the Skyraider Gate Guard. More than a third of these men flew as fireflies and Sandys with the first, hobos and Sandys with the first Air Commando Squadron, later renamed the first SOS. Another third of the 102 flew as fireflies and Sandys with the 602nd Fighter Squadron Commando, later renamed the 602nd SOS. Still others flew as SPADs under Playcube with the 6th ACS, also renamed the 6th SOS later. And also others flew as Zorro Night Fighters with the 22nd SOS during their 1-year existence. Yet there were still more that flew, not with any of these squadrons, but with the VNAF, as VNAF advisors, instructing and counseling both in flight and on the ground with the Vietnamese Air Force. If we say the names of these men, we will remember them. If we say the names of these men, we will not forget them and their sacrifice to our country. I will now read the names from 1 to 102. As hard as this is, I think it's important that we remember. Colonel Thomas M. Hergert, 8 March 1964. Captain Richard D. Goss, 29 August 1964. First Lieutenant George E. Flynn III, 23 September 64. Captain Kenneth E. Walker, 2 October 64. First Lieutenant Glenn C. Dyer, 26 October 64. Captain Edward A. Blake, 29 October 64. Captain John C. Nags, 29 October 64. Major George F. Lasides, 27 January 1965. Captain Kurt W. Garais, 24 February 1965. Captain Thomas C. McEwen, Jr., 24 February 1965. Captain Jerry P. Hawkins, 21 March 65. Captain William H. Campbell, 21 March 65. Captain Walter F. Drager, Jr., 4 April 1965. Captain James A. Wheeler, 18 April 65. Captain Robert D. Galla, 16 June 65. Captain Oliver C. Chase, Jr., 22 July 65. Captain William W. Hale, 2 August 65. Captain Richard C. Marshall, 5 September 65. Captain Don R. Hood, 2 October 65. Captain Donald C. Patch, 2 October 65. Captain Charles F. Allen, 4 October 65. Captain Paul T. McClellan, Jr., 14 November 65. Captain Ronald M. Cantor, 8 December 65. Captain James C. Wise, Jr., 23 December 65. Major Lewis R. Raleigh, 26 December 65. Captain Johnny H. Godfrey, 11 January 66. Captain Robert M. Middlebrooks, 13 January 66. Major Fred L. McPherson, 28 January 66. Major John R. Hills, 14 February 66. Major Oscar Mauterer, 15 February 66. Captain Raymond H. Hetrick, 24 February 66. Major William L. Richardson, 2 April 66. Captain Richard J. Roberts, 19 April 66. Captain Leo S. Boston, 29 April 66. Captain Robert L. Sandner, 7 June 66. Captain Robert I. Bush, 9 June 66. Major Theodore J. Shorak, Jr., 9 June 66. Major Robert C. Williams, 1 July 66. Captain John R. Burns, 4 August 66. Major Hubert C. Nichols, 1 September 66. Major Lawrence B. Tatum, 10 September 66. Major Stanley G. Sprague, 12 September 66. Captain David R. Wagoner, 20 October 66. Captain John L. O'Brien, 10 November 66. Captain John M. Roper, 29 November 66. Lieutenant Colonel Joseph L. Hart, 25 February 67. Major John S. Hamilton, 19 April 67. Major Charles E. Rogers, 4 May 67. Major Roy A. Knight, Jr., 19 May 67. Lieutenant Colonel Lewis M. Robinson, 4 June 67. Captain Darrell J. Spindler, 21 June 67. Captain Alan S. Cherry, 9 August 67. Major Frank A. Armstrong III, 6 October 67. First Lieutenant Glenn A. Belcher, 31 December 67. Lieutenant Colonel Robert F. Wilkie, 17 January 68. Major Robert G. Latham, 8 February 68. Lieutenant Colonel Guy F. Collins, 13 March 68. Major Donald E. Westbrook, 13 March 68. Major Joseph H. Byrne, 13 March 68. Captain Lynn D. Oberdeer, 5 May 68. Lieutenant Colonel Wallace A. Ford, 24 May 68. Major David J. Gunster, 6 June 68. Major Rodolph L. Nunn, 6 June 68. Captain Richard L. Russell, 23 June 68. Major Paul F. Johns, 27 June 68. Major Henry A. Tipping, 2 July 68. Major Wayne B. Wolfkyle, 9 August 68. Lieutenant Colonel Charles E. Teague, 11 August 68. Major Charles F. Kuhlman, 22 September 68. Captain Wayne E. Newberry, 29 September 68. Captain Michael J. Masterson, 13 October 68. Captain Joseph S. Piricello, Jr., 8 December 68. Major Gregory I. Barris, 18 December 68. Major Arthur R. Sprott, Jr., 10 January 69. Captain Robert F. Cody, 18 January 69. Lieutenant Colonel Richard A. Walsh III, 15 Feb. 69. First Lieutenant Clyde W. Campbell, 1 March 69. Major James B. East, Jr., 26 April 69. First Lieutenant Lloyd M. Scott, 8 June 69. First Lieutenant Neil C. Ward, 13 June 69. Captain John F. Flynn, 2 July 69. Colonel Patrick M. Fallon, 4 July 69. Major Franklin W. Picking, 23 July 69. Major Thomas H. McCarthy, 23 July 69. First Lieutenant Donald R. Moore, 2 October 69. First Lieutenant James W. Herrick, Jr., 27 October 69. Major Richard C. Lytle, 1 November 69. Major Gerald R. Helmick, 12 November 69. Captain Glenn R. Manning, 17 December 69. First Lieutenant Richard D. Charlins, 11 January 70. Lieutenant Colonel William L. Kiefer, Jr., 11 February 70. Major Donnie B. Fincher, 14 March 70. Major Edward M. Hudgens, 21 March 70. Major Otis C. Morgan, 28 July 1970. Major John V. Williams, 7 October 70. Major Albro L. Lundy, Jr., 24 December 70. Captain Carol B. Lilly, 9 April 71. Captain Roger E. Whitty, 18 June 71. Lieutenant Glenn J. Tolliver, 2 August 71. Lieutenant George W. Kamenicki, 30 September 71. Captain Halton R. Vincent, 30 September 71. Number 102 is Major Ezekiel M. Zeke Encinas, 17 June 72. I said these names so you'll remember them. I said these names so you will not forget their sacrifice.
Ladies and gentlemen, I propose a toast in water to those who depart our ranks, serving their nation. Please take your seats. I would like to go through a process that has become something very necessary for us as members of the combat community. It's something that I know very well because I've been associated with a lot of people who were returned as POWs in Air War College and jobs I've had throughout my Air Force career, as well as some people who I've met in other places. And when we think about these people, when we think about the sacrifices that they made and are still making in some cases, we know that there are probably people still in captivity or have deceased in foreign lands. It may be Cambodia, it may be Laos, it may be North Vietnam, it may be Korea, it may be Russia, it may be China. We're trying to account for these people. But for some reason or other, we find it very difficult to deal with other countries for such mundane things. Just please allow us to bring our heroes home for proper burial. Luckily, North Korea just released a few. But that's just a few out of the many, many, many that we know are still out there missing someplace. So I want to tell you that I know what it's like to be missing in action, because I have a couple of times. When you're shot down and you're in enemy territory, it's very difficult for you to get organized because everything is unpracticed. Even though we go through survival school, we still don't know exactly what we're going to do. But it's amazing how God Almighty stays with us in those times. As many people as we've rescued, we know that a lot we have not. I want to call your attention to a small table here in place of honor to the right of our podium. The table is set for our brothers in arms who could not be with us. Those who have given their all for the sake of their country. Some fell in anguish and are resting in foreign soil. Some we know were captured but have never been released to rejoin their loved ones. Some have simply disappeared. We may not know about them, and they may be lost from our fold, but they're never, ever forgotten. The small table is our way of symbolizing that members of our profession of arms are still remaining missing or unaccounted for, and we refer to them as POWs and MIAs. The table is small. It's set for only one. It symbolizes the frailty and the lone individual against many oppressors. In some cases, we sent people almost by themselves into foreign places on their own wits and their own capabilities. The tablecloth is white for the purity of their intentions when responding to our country's call to arms. A solitary red candle stands straight and tall, proud, like our brothers in arms. It is red as the blood they shed, and may have shed, and stands alone as they stood alone in many cases. The black ribbon on the candle symbolizes and reminds us of those who will not be coming home, the MIAs or the POWs. As we light the candle to illuminate their memory, please everybody join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. The flame signifies the memories still burning in the hearts and the lives and minds of those that they left behind. The single red rose represents the families and friends who kept the faith, awaiting their comrade's return. A yellow ribbon tied prominently to the vase is reminiscent of the yellow ribbons worn by thousands bearing witness to the unyielding determination to the demands for a proper accounting of our mission. And they can never stop that demand for that accounting. I don't care how long they've been gone. We need to know what happened to them and why. A slice of lemon on the plate, the bread plate, reminds us of the comrades' bitter tears. Salt sprinkled on the table, on the plate, is symbolic of the family's tears as they wait. The word hero is written in the grains of salt, because hero is what every warrior becomes when they serve the United States of America. The napkin is unfolded as though used. It is the lives of our fellow soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guard were used in service of their country. The glass is inverted. They cannot join our toast. The chair is empty. They're not here. The chair is tilted slightly because there has been always, and always will be, a place set aside in our hearts and minds for if they ever return. Do not remember them as ghosts from the past. Remember them, all those who served with them and called them brothers in arms. All are called their husband, wife, mother, brother, sister, sweetheart, or friend. Remember those who made the ultimate sacrifices just mentioned. for the freedoms we enjoy here tonight. They do not neglect their families. Because remember, families need to be close in their hearts as well. We always honor those missing from our midst. They may be gone, but never let them be forgotten, because they certainly have not forgotten us. Ladies and gentlemen, I propose a toast in water for those POWs and MIAs who could not be here tonight, to our departed brothers. I'd like to make two more toasts while we're standing, if I may. I'd like to propose a toast to the Chief of Staff of the United States Air Force. To the Chief. And finally, I'd like to propose a toast to the man we're depending on right now to run our country, the President of the United States of America. To the President.